Jackson, thanks so much for coming on. So there's something really, look, I understand people are partisan on TV. There's a lot of pressure to take your side. But for Biden to get up there and say the single biggest threat to our country is anyone who opposes me in the coming midterm elections, and the media to nod along, makes you think we've crossed some kind of line.
We have crossed the line, Tucker, and it's so interesting that, anyone in the media today would be saying that they liked what Joe Biden said in that speech because it was a dictator-inspired speech. Not only that, but it seems like a lot of the practices and the actions that the Biden administration is employing in the United States right now that were reflected in that speech are very closely aligned with what the dictator Zelensky is doing in Ukraine. Joe Biden is plunging us into a fascist state, and he is taking cues from what Zelensky is doing in Ukraine to manufacture this dystopian state and this dystopian reality in America. And there's no real surprise for me there because at the end of the day, Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, and Joe Biden are controlled by the same exact people. They're controlled by individuals like George Soros and controlled by people like Klaus Schwab at the World Economic Forum, and they're going to do whatever they want. To put it quite simply, Zelensky is using the intelligence community in Ukraine and the Nazi Azov thugs in Ukraine to silence freedom-loving Ukrainians. Joe Biden in the United States, though he can't remember what he had for breakfast this morning or who his wife is, his handlers and his cronies are prepping the CIA, the FBI, Antifa, the IRS, and now Ministry of Truth to attack freedom-loving Americans.
Maybe someone should have, in the opposition party, the one he's calling effectively illegal, should have paused before funding this insanity in Ukraine, which is tanking our economy and making a mockery of democracy, before signing off on it and just putting Ukrainian flag lapel pins on and nodding dutifully to Joe Biden. Why didn't anyone do that?
You'd think that they do that, but so many of these individuals in Washington, D.C., the neoconservatives, the rhinos, and the entire Democratic Party are beholden to the military-industrial complex. And that is extremely out of line with what average Americans need right now. We don't have clean drinking water in Jackson, Mississippi, yet we're sending $7 billion over to Ukraine, a country that I'm sure most of these Congress people couldn't even point to on a map. It's insane. The White House this week, Tucker, I'm sure you saw, came out and said that anyone who doesn't hold an opinion reflected by the majority of the American public is extreme and therefore an extremist. Well, what does that make Joe Biden? Only 38% of Americans, if you believe the polls and what they tell us, if you believe they're that high, only 38% of Americans agree with Joe Biden. So by the White House's own definition, that makes him an extremist.